Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I am the spiritual seeker. I'm sitting here thinking to myself that a lot of people don't understand what anti-blackness really is. They don't understand anti-blackness as a structure from a structural or a paradigmatic point of view. It's always hate, racial prejudice, or anything else, but it's never really structure. At the same time, a lot of people talk about dehumanization. The dehumanization of Africans, the dehumanization of black people during slavery, during colonialism, during apartheid, during this and that. But it's only a few people who actually interrogate what this dehumanization means. Because once you understand anti-blackness as a structure, then you know that anti-blackness creates a paradigm that allows for the dehumanization of Africans, of black people. This means that anti-blackness creates a structure that puts black people in contradistinction to all these categories that are accorded to humans. Because anti-blackness expels the Africans, expels black people from civil society. Then you can not talk about nationality, you cannot talk about citizenship, you cannot talk about race, class, gender, sexuality. When we take into consideration anti-blackness as a structure, you have on the output end a black subject that is ungendered, that is stateless. And then what do you do with that? Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. This is a spiritual seeker. Yesterday I said something about how anti-blackness as a structure creates a paradigm that inaugurates dehumanization as a process. And I said something about how everyone talks about the dehumanization, that we were dehumanized during slavery, during colonialism, during apartheid, but it's only a few people who actually get to it and try to understand it, try to understand what that actually means. What does it mean for a people to be dehumanized? Does it not mean that you are pushed to the limits of humanity, your own humanity? Does it not mean that you are being expelled from civil society, being denied access to the things that are accorded to humans, and therefore standing in contradistinction to the categories of nationality, citizenship, race, class, gender, sexuality, etc.? And today I just wanted to use one example of nationality to say that us being South African does not shield us from anti-black violence. Us being Australian, Mozambican, Zimbabwean, Brazilian, Argentinian, American, Canadian, British, Japanese does not shield us from anti-black violence. Remember what happened when Russia bombed Ukraine? The violence that Africans and people of African descent suffered at the hands of their fellow Ukrainians. I mean, if nationality was supposed to shield us from anti-black violence, then the Ukrainian nationality of those Africans and people of African descent was supposed to shield them from the anti-blackness of their invaders and the anti-blackness of their fellow Ukrainians, but it didn't. And it wouldn't be far-fetched to talk about Africans and Palestinians who are of African descent, who suffer from the violence of their invaders, the Jews, and then who also suffer from the violence of their fellow Palestinians. So it just shows that nationality has never shielded anyone from anti-black violence, because we stand in contradistinction to that. That's why Frank B. Wilderson's reading of Orlando Patterson's work on slavery and social death outlines gratuitous violence as one of the constituent elements of social death, speaking to our vulnerability to gratuitous forms of violence. These gratuitous forms of violence that violate the integrity of our bodies. Then without the integrity of the body, bodily integrity, what magic will having a nationality do?